India has surprisingly the highest number of private jet departures in Asia. That is twice of China. So we did around 2,700 monthly private jet flights. That is more than China, Australia, Japan.
Your statistics is definitely is something very interesting, and we are not surprised. And the numbers could be even more, but because of the lesser number of assets, only a handful of aircrafts are available, which are given on commercial charter basis, and that's the reason the numbers looking at this level. Otherwise it could have been even more, because the demand is so high.
To give you a small example, sir, we are the fourth largest economy going towards the third largest economy. India has for charter approximately 70 aircrafts with over 1.4 billion population. United States has 15,800 private jets.
Wow.
You can imagine the wide gap. Even if we are saying we need 10%, we are talking how many aircrafts?
One question from a common general public point of view. If someone wants to go from, if you could answer this, from Bombay to Dubai in a private jet, what are the typical costings? Because nobody knows the exact costing. Everyone has a perception that it is too costly. But what is the exact cost, just so people could understand the exact costing, sir, if you could provide?
Sir, instead of telling Bombay, Dubai, we have done in a comparison by a research team, and
Yes.
they have compared a contingent of 10 to 12 people traveling to a destination which is around 10 to 12 hours of journey. They have compared the first class travel by first class in commercial airline vis-a-vis compared the travel in our private jet, which is a 13-seater. So the outcome is the cost is almost the same, and and whereas the convenience and comfort and the flexibility is way beyond in the private jet travel.
So good afternoon, everyone. Today we have the management of Fly SBS. We have the management itself, Captain Deepak. We have Mr. Amba Shankar and Mr. Kanan Ramkrishnan with us. Hello, sir. So,
Hi.
sir, getting into things, sir, could you just explain what is Fly SBS, the business model of Fly SBS in a very simpler manner, and what inspired you to start this particular business?
What you get?
Okay, so Fly SBS as a business explained is we operate private jet on charters for our customers. So that is the principal business we are in. Now, how we started, we saw that between 17, 18, and 19. So we saw this slowly the popularity was increasing. But with the advent of COVID and post that, there has been a massive increase in this market. Because earlier private jets was the exclusive preserve for the rich, famous, and the celebrities. But once COVID came, out of fear, out of safety for self and family, people tried to see if they can charter a plane. That's when they realized that this is not as expensive as it is perceived to be, and it is well within their reach. So that brought in a huge diaspora of market, expanding the market size overnight to a massive size. All MSMEs, small industries, trading communities, spending 2.5, 3 crores in a year has never been a problem for them. But they never realized that this could be done by them. So when they realized, the market kind of bounded up so large. So the entire idea, we stepped into this. So in May of 2020, we formed the company. And from September 2020, we became operational with a wet lease aircraft. So our economy is growing, rapidly growing. Fourth largest economy, climbing to become the third largest economy. Millionaires are booming in the country almost on a daily basis. So the need is growing much faster. So there is a massive demand, and the supply is very little. So there is a huge gap between the demand and supply, which is further pressure on supply is coming. So that's when we decided to get into this business.
Fair enough. So, as you said, a term called wet lease. So, Fly SBS follows a asset-light model. So, there are two terms to it, that there is a dry lease and there's a wet lease. If you could just explain those terms in a simpler manner, and how do the metrics work in both of those segments?
Okay. Now, a wet lease in this case is where we take some other operator's aircraft. So the crew, everything is his. It's almost like we have the exclusivity on the aircraft and its exclusive marketing rights. So we do value added package to that and operate it. The purpose of the wet lease is like this. When we start this business, so this business has two components, the need to do and the nice to do. The nice to do can be setting up the business, like you have to set up operations, engineering, maintenance, host of DGCA approval, security approval, so forth, which will almost take you 2 years. So the need to do is that we take somebody else's aircraft, some other operator's aircraft, to create a value-added package. So we are already in business. So we are present in the market. Our customer base starts growing. In the meantime, we did all other things to bring the dry lease aircraft. In the dry lease aircraft, the metal is given to us on rent. Everything else has to be done by us. It's just the differentiating factor between this wet and dry model, or the quasi charter and the dry model, is that in the dry lease, the bare aircraft is given to us, or the aircraft is given to us on rent. So it is available with us 24/7 for the entire lease term to use in any manner we wish. Whereas the quasi charters or the wet lease is for a limited usage only, which they can spare. So this is a major difference. So we started with a wet lease. We became operational. Our product was highly liked by the people. As a matter of fact, 90% of our business is repeat customers, which is quite an achievement in this business, to be honest. And in the process, we bought our own dry lease aircraft in the mid of 2023, completed all the licensing processes, and it became operational in January of 2024.
So
And
how
now
many aircraft currently we operate, and what are the plans? How many aircraft we plan to add?
we have 2 on wet and 1 on dry at the moment. We plan to add 6 more during this financial year by dry lease. Going forward, everything is going to be on dry lease. So that is a key business. And later on, the 2 wet will also get replaced with dry lease aircraft.
Got it. And what would be the costing for, suppose, one chartered plane for a dry lease? Is there what would be the economics over there?
Okay, you're asking for inducting the dry lease aircraft?
Yes. Suppose one private jet someone wants to take on dry lease. What would be the costing?
Okay, the costing goes, like this. One is that, the lease rental, then the lease rental deposits. It depends upon, the lessor and the lessee. A minimum of 6 to 8 months of, the lease rentals are left with the lessor as a lease rental deposits. Then the aircraft, the whole lot of expenses related to, technical evaluation, doing the test flight, and all these things, the cost is involved, and that is taken care by the lessee. And then the aircraft is imported into the country. On import, we pay 3%, 2.75% customs duty on the value of the aircraft. And then, whatever the cost related to deregistering the aircraft and getting it registered into our Indian registry, and all these things, as part of the package. So typically, a large cabin, a 13-seater aircraft, if it has to be inducted, it will cost us anywhere between 15 to 18 crores, for completing the induction into the fleet.
Got it. So currently we have 3 aircrafts, and we plan to add at least 6 aircrafts.
6 aircraft, from the IPO proceeds is what we are intended to do that.
And that would be operational by, if we are
this financial year, it will become operational, and out of which 4 will become operational before the end of this calendar year, before December.
Fair enough. Sir, as the what do you have? What are your comments on the Indian market per se? Because I was reading 2 days back, India has surprisingly the highest number of private jet departures in Asia. That is twice of China. So we did around 2,700 monthly private jet flights. That is more than China, Australia, Japan. So where have you seen the market being evolved in the last 5 years, and where do you see things going from here as well?
So we are the firm believers of, the India's growth story, and that is the reason that, we have ventured into this business. And particularly, between myself and Mr. Ambashankar, we have spent, very long years, with brands, associated with lifestyle and luxury, and we have seen that, how that has grown in our country, in the past. So we truly believed that, the business aviation or private jet travel as an industry is going to, see a sharp, increase in terms of, its demand. And that's what we have been witnessing right from the commencement of our business. And your statistics is definitely, is something, very interesting, and we are not surprised. And the numbers could be even more, but because of the lesser number of assets, only a handful of, aircrafts are available which are given on commercial charter basis, and that's the reason the numbers looking at this level. Otherwise it could have been even more, because the demand is so high, and every day the people are new people are wanting to experience this, wanting to use this for their business travel. And so once the asset base increases in the country, definitely these numbers will further grow.
And to add to what Kanan sir said, see, when we see these large numbers, the fact is that many assets are not there in the country. So today, people are chartering aircrafts from abroad. Aircrafts come from Dubai to India to take these people and travel and then drop them back. The cost is very high because they will charge the ferry cost from Dubai to India and to go back to Dubai. As the assets increase, this cost will be substantial. You'll be almost paying 60, 70 times more, percent more, getting an aircraft from abroad. But that's the scarcity of the aircrafts in the country. To give you a small example, sir, we are the fourth largest economy going towards the third largest economy. India has for charter approximately 70 aircrafts with over 1.4 billion population. United States has 15,800 private jets.
Wow.
You can imagine the wide gap. Even if we are saying we need 10%, we are talking how many aircrafts?
It's nothing. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
So who are the actual users of the service? Because as common people have always witnessed that only billionaires and only the MNCs are using these aircraft. But have you seen that shift that, even now the ultra rich have not, basically normal people have also started using chartered flights? Is that the change you have seen in the trend?
Yeah, as you rightly mentioned, this is the perception that people had, and a lot of them still continue to have, that these aircrafts, private jet flying is only meant for the cream de la cream. But come COVID, things have changed. The awareness amongst the people have increased, and once people have started, because during the COVID times, the private jet was the only mode of travel by air that was available entire world. So especially in India also, a lot of awareness came amongst the people. In addition to that, what happened is, once tasted flying in a private jet, the people who can afford it, and they again and again started coming back, and they started wanting to use the private jets.
So the reality is comfort and luxury is always addictive.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And what are the different revenue streams apart from, as in you must be doing beyond just per trip booking? Is there any other revenue stream that we have to maintain that higher profitability?
Sir, essentially the revenue stream remains that how many hours of our flight we are putting into commercial charter, and how much of hours we are billing. That is what is the revenue stream. But to categorize the number of hours of flying, probably we can say that it's an ad hoc charter. That is, somebody wants to just use the aircraft or service for one trip from a place of origination to their destination. Or the other thing is that somebody is hiring the aircraft for a given period for undertaking a trip for multiple countries and with many stopovers. So we are good at doing both. And in fact the group travel, and over a period of time traveling to multiple places, and we have done that many times in the last 3.5 years. And so you can consider that as another stream of revenue.
Got it. And what would be the capacity utilization for our aircraft, as in on an hourly basis? Suppose on a monthly basis, the aircraft is 60 hours, 70 hours.
Our internal estimate is that to use the asset minimum for 65 hours in a month.
Okay.
But in reality, that so far on a weighted average basis, we have clocked around 74 hours. And when our fleet is getting expanded, there is a scope to further improve, because as a concept, we operate our dry lease aircrafts with multiple set of crews. The flight duty time limitations of the crew should not hamper the flying of the aircraft. So that is the reason we operate with multiple set of crews. So going beyond 74 is possible.
And at how many hours do we break even?
Sir, on a large cabin aircraft like the one what we have in our dry lease, our break-even point is around 37-38 hours in a month.
Got it. We are very much comfortable. And Fly SBS has flown over more than 6 continents. So what would be the diversification between the international versus the domestic revenue, and how does it impact how does the cost impact between the international and the domestic?
Sir, international, in fact, per trip basis, it gives a larger revenue, because it involves certain rest days also, for which also the customer is being charged. So the per trip basis, it provides a higher revenue. Number one. Number two, the on the in the past years, the performance, if you look at it, international contributes more. And last year figures, it's close to around 73% is contribution has come from the international trip, and balance is from the domestic trip.
And what would be the margin differential?
Sir, margin again, the charges are remains the same. The number of per hour, the flying charge remains the same. But in international trip, the add-ons are more, like ground handling charges and the overflying charges, and all those stuffs are are add-on. So that will increase the the billing to the customer.
Is there any number, as in suppose the EBITDA margins from
Margin is better in an international trip, because when we go on an international trip, and most of the places, the fuel is much cheaper than India. So though we charge the same per hour charge flying, the retention is better, because the fuel, one of the major constituent, is cheaper over there.
Got it. So can you explain what are the DGCA and the CMAO approvals mean, and how important is it to have an in-house team for getting these approvals?
Okay, let us be clear that there is a very vast amount of DGCA approvals that are required. Your engineering, your ground operations, your maintenance, all these things needs to be approved. To give it in a very simple way, you need 20 different manuals to be approved. Okay. You need an entire organizational setup, and even your station facility is inspected by DGCA. So it's a very thorough process, which takes probably a year and a half, if you're doing it very well and fast, to get these approvals. That's point number one. Point number two, CAMO means Continuous Airworthiness Management Organization. When we outsource our maintenance to anybody, we personally want to make sure that the maintenance is done properly. So the CAMO consists, we tell them what work needs to be done on the aircraft, we supervise the work, and we have a quality department which certifies the work done by the maintenance organization. So this is a very critical component in flight safety.
Got it. And having an in-house team is definitely an operational.
Very critical. It's very critical.
Got it. And as far as competition is concerned, how many players in India must be operating at your level?
So there are a handful of people are there, and most of them are placed in Delhi and Bombay, and in South hardly anybody is there, and couple of players are there in Telangana, Hyderabad, and Bangalore. Other than that, in Tamil Nadu we are the only player, and overall put together, the people who have got multiple assets and operate in the commercial charter is close to around some 7 or 8 players are there.
But then the fact is that the demand is high, the size of the pie is large. There's a room for lot many more to come.
Okay. And the barrier to entry is definitely high,
Very high.
Okay.
Very high.
And outside players cannot enter this particular market.
Not easy, not easy.
Got it.
You see, there are two aspects to this, sir, just to add to it. Aviation or aircraft flying planes is a niche business requiring a lot of technical capability. Here it's a merger of two different businesses. One is that it's an aviation business. B, let us be very clear, one of the differentiating factors of Fly SBS is that we are also not just transporting people from point A to point B. We are the only people who innovated to give a bespoke luxury experience to our customers. So it's a combination of both a niche technical business of an airline, has also having a very eye to detail luxury business.
Got it. Got it. And from the revenue point of view, if our 9 planes are operational, what would be the highest capacity utilization? How much revenue can we do, sir?
Sir, I mean, we will, sorry, we cannot give a kind of forward-looking statement, but we can just say that, our internal estimate of utilization will be 65 hours per aircraft per month minimum. And, with the 3 aircrafts, what we have done, and you can extrapolate it, when the fleet becomes 9, and you can, extrapolate it. And the second thing is, and as the fleet, gets increased, and our concentration will further improve on the international charters, wherein our realization also becomes better for the reasons what we have mentioned earlier.
Got it. And what does the typical flight activation process look like in Fly SBS? As in from the point a particular client calls, what is the timeline and what are the internal metrics that you'll see for the smooth execution?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, basically what happens is normally there are people, for domestic operations, they take about a day's notice or a couple of days notice, and for international it is about a week's notice. But we have even activated flights in about 4 hours notice also, and even on an international charters we have activated the flights between 6 to 8 hours also. So that is the kind of the pace at which we are ready to accept the customers, because private jet flying is it's very important, and when we charge that, and we also have to deliver equivalent results to the clients. So this is what we are doing, and this is the way that we are prepared on.
Just to elaborate on that, when there is a confirmation comes from the client, the whole lot of activities, gets activated, and a lot of people in the chain, they walk towards, making the flight happen, right from, the sales team, communicating this to our operations team, and they in turn, check with our, the chief of flight, for the availability of the crew, and then they start working on the flight path and flight plan, and what is the kind of the route they have to take. Then they revert back to the ops team. Then costing is worked out, and then it's been communicated back to to the sales onwards to be communicated to the customer. So once we get the confirmation, by then all these things are already been planned out, and then the instructions are given by the director of flight operations for the crew, and the operation manager for the rest of the activities, such as preparing the ground handling team, security team, and so on and so forth. So for activating one flight, I must say that the entire organization, various departments, has to work in harmony, and the communication keeps flowing on both the directions.
Got it. And apart from Bombay, Delhi, Chennai, these are the very big hubs for private jets. But are you all seeing that there is a huge tailwind in the tier 2 and tier 3 cities in terms of private jets?
Absolutely, sir. There are a couple of reasons for that, and the government's initiative in terms of expanding the infrastructure to tier 1, tier 2 cities, coming out with more airports in tier 1, tier 2 cities, increases the connectivity. Now all these the newer airports in tier 1, tier 2 cities are not well covered by the commercial airlines, and very few airlines fly into that the newer airports, and a very less, still it is very less connected,
and that too at odd times.
So our clientele generally from the business community, and they have multiple the businesses, so the time is the essence for them. So they prefer going to such places arising out of their business need by undertaking a private jet travel. So it saves a lot of time, and it provides them the flexibility to do multiple locations, and also it provides them that desired the comfort and convenience.
Got it. So given the sector's regulatory complexity, what are the biggest operational or compliance related challenges that NSOPs face, and how does Fly SBS have that compliance into place? Because there is a lot of regulatory challenge eventually.
No, sir. Let us be very clear that from a DGCA regulatory standpoint, there are no challenges as long as the compliances are done properly. There is a host of compliances which needs to be carried out both from operations, engineering, maintenance, and security point of view. As long as you are complying with it, there are no challenges.
Got it.
With regard to specific operations, there are no hindrances. Yes, some airports like Mumbai have a embargo during the day that between 5:30 to 7:30 a private jet cannot operate. That's a what should I say, peak time, which is applicable to all non-scheduled operators into the airport. Otherwise, there is none whatsoever.
Got it. So one final question from my side, as in one of the most important questions. You all are gearing up for an IPO. If you could just give some information about your IPO, how much you all are going to raise the funds for, what is the utilization of funds, that'll be great for the people who are listening to this particular video.
Yes, sir. I mean, we are in the process of getting our company listed in emerge platform of NSE, National Stock Exchange, and
Yes.
we are planning to raise 100 plus around 102 103 crores, and that will be predominantly used for the expansion of our fleet. As we have mentioned in our object class, we are planning to add 6 more aircrafts of different cabin size, and the fund generated through these IPO proceeds will be mainly utilized for that. Apart from, there is a small term loan which is there in the books, which will get extinguished. So main purpose of this IPO is for expansion of the fleet.
Got it. One question from a common general public point of view. If someone wants to go from, if you could answer this, from Bombay to Dubai in a private jet, what are the typical costings? Because nobody knows the exact costing. Everyone has a perception that it is too costly. But what is the exact cost, just so people could understand the exact costing, sir, if you could provide?
Sir, instead of telling Bombay, Dubai, we have done in a comparison by a research team, and
Yes.
they have compared a contingent of 10 to 12 people traveling
Yes.
to a destination which is around 10 to 12 hours of journey. They have
Okay.
compared the first class travel by first class in commercial airline vis-a-vis compared the travel in our private jet, which is a 13-seater. So the outcome is the cost is almost the same, and and whereas the convenience and comfort and the flexibility is way beyond in the private jet travel.
So basically 13 people traveling in a first class versus 13 people traveling together in a private jet, that is more cheaper, plus it is your own aircraft altogether.
Yes. I will not say cheaper, but the costs are almost
Almost the
identical.
same.
On the same line. On the same.
Almost the same.
Perfect.
But the benefits are more.
Got it. Yeah, of course. That's your own private jet altogether.
Yeah.
Great. I think, sir, you've summarized the business very well, and we are looking forward to your particular IPO. And we've seen the results. You have listed one of your companies. That was great. So looking forward for this particular IPO, and all the very best, sir.
Thank
you
sir.
very much.
Thank you so much. Pleasure talking.